So about a year ago, I made a video talking about 5 iconic Star Wars characters that are horrible in Galaxy Wars, and you should not farm, because the reason why I made that video last year was because when people come to the game without considering any sort of resources, whether YouTube, Reddit, Discord, Facebook, the list goes on and on and on, not talking to anyone, the logical thing to think is, this character is pretty darn cool and good in the Star Wars lore and universe. I should farm that character in the game. And the problem is, by and large, that might not be the most logical thing to go by. So I'm making this video today, one, to kind of follow up on that video last year, talk about what improvements were made, because out of the 5 characters we talked about, 3 of them got better. And also, we're going to add 5 new characters to this list as well, and some of them are going to be some interesting ones because they might be decent in the game, but really, when you think of how important this game overall with legendaries, the Grand Arena, Territory Wars, Arena, and all that other stuff, they're just lost. They have no purpose in this game. So the 5 characters we talked about last year, the most important one in that video was General Grievous. My goodness, the shining star. Talk about an improvement. He got 2 reworks this year, a bunch of other supporting characters to make him better, and dare I say, he is the best Jedi Knight Revan counter now, aside from Darth Revan himself. Grievous is such an important character for the Padme Legendary event, and also for Darkside Geonosis Territory battles, which is going on right now. This character is so key, and he finally lives up to the hype and how important he was in the Clone Wars TV show and in the Clone Wars era as well. So it's really it's cool to see how far Grievous has come, and I'm hoping one character that we're going to talk about soon in this video will get Grievous-like love sometime in the next few months. We'll get there in a second, guys. The next character on our list last year that got a rework, Cad Bane, along with all these other new bounty hunters and bounty hunter reworks that we got. Cad Bane also got some love. Did he get as good as General Grievous? Oh gosh, no. No, he never got close. But the good thing is, Cad Bane is usable. He's also a very easily farmable character. I used him to get the legendary Chewbacca event completed. He's a solid character. He's probably about like a mid-tier character in the game, C-grade character. Don't expect too much out of him. And due to the fact that you can compose so many bounty hunter teams, every single one of these characters have a leadership. The bounty hunters have the most sandbox type of fun, where you can compose a bunch of different bounty hunter lineups. And the great thing is, seeing that there's 10 bounty hunters in this game, you can compose 2 full bounty hunter teams. So Cad Bane definitely is improvement, and it's definitely worth farming, especially for people trying to prepare for the legendary Chewbacca event. Such an easy character to get. Right down the list, let's talk about Commander Cody. He was also on the list last year. Did he get a rework? No. He's not like General Grievous at all. Not even close to where Cad Bane is in terms of overall viability. But with the release of Shaak Ti, clones have become a much better team. So Commander Cody himself didn't get better. And if you don't have Shaak Ti, don't bother really too much of clones unless you're anticipating clone reworks, soon, which we seem to have indications something's going to be happening with clone reworks or new clone characters. And with light side Geonosis Territory battles somewhere around the corner, I'm assuming clones are going to be very important. But in terms of all-around viability, Commander Cody's still the same. Not much has improved with him. But once you have Shaak Ti, Commander Cody's a much better character. So in some ways, he did get better since the video last year. Nothing happened to Kit Fisto, unfortunately, but I think he's going to be, again, with light side territory battles coming around for Geonosis. It's kind of like how we're seeing all these Separatist reworks and other dark side elements for the Clone Wars era. I'm thinking with the release of the future Geonosis light side territory battles, Kit Fisto will probably be one of those characters to get reworked because he was at the Battle of Geonosis. So logically, you'd think the developers have this guy in mind for future reworks, because the developers have said that they're going to try to give KOTOR era love, Knights of the Old Republic love that they did for several months, and try to give that same amount of love to the Clone Wars era with a lot of reworks. So they said that, and hopefully Kit Fisto is going to be kind of a part of that equation, because as you're going to notice with our new list today, the Clone Wars era is still some of the most struggling content in this game right now. And lastly, the character I want to heavily emphasize, he won't be in our list of 5, but honestly, he just needs to be reiterated. He has not gotten better at all since last year. Yes, there's some territory war bonuses that happen once in a blue moon, which makes him very deadly, very, very deadly. But aside from those once in a blue moon bonuses that he gets, he is still one of the worst characters in the game. Mace Windu, one of the most powerful Jedi in the Star Wars universe, has no place in this game. Luckily, you get a lot of shards from him when you unlock ships for the first time, and he has a capital ship, but he does not have one of the best capital ships in the game. For sure, Home 1 and Chimera are up there, and then it's debatable whether Executrix or Endurance is the next best ship after that. So his ship is not as good, and with the Negotiator coming out, Mace Windu, he's also going to become overshadowed because his capital ship is not nearly as good as what Kenobi's looks like. But I gotta say, if Mace Windu does not get a rework within the next few months, or let's just say the next year, the developers have missed a huge moment. With them saying they want to try to give the same love to the Clone Wars era, this is the character they need to rework, because if you made a survey right now, I can maybe almost assure you, if you ask what's the most requested rework that you want in this game, Mace Windu would be number one. Come on, rework Windu, CG. Let's make it happen. Rework Windu, CG, don't make me Sindu. Some of these characters are gonna probably spark a little bit of debate, because this list is gonna be a little bit different. There's some iconic characters that are just okay in this game, but they have nothing going on. And Darth Maul, I'm saying it. Darth Maul is a character you probably should not farm. Hear me out. 2017, when Zeta Mats first came out, Darth Maul was a meta for such a long time, but over time, his reign ended and new events came out, and Darth Maul really never had too much of a purpose. So the reason why I'm pointing that out today is because Darth Maul, where he's farmable in the guild store, there are so many more important things to farm in there, such as Logray or Colonel Stark, because they're needed for very specific things. Logray makes the C3PO event so much easier, and Ewoks are a better team than a Darth Maul team. Granted, Darth Maul did get some protection upgrades with the recent update. A lot of old characters got their protection bumped up, so he's a bit more durable, so he's not as squishy before, and you could throw him in if you need a leftover character for Grand Arena or Territories, but really the only reason to have Darth Maul is to just create like maybe a third tier leftover Sith team that has like your undergeared Sith squad, like Maul, Savage, Darth Sidious, maybe a leftover Sith assassin, because the problem is the best Sith characters in the game, the Sith leaders, Emperor Palpatine, he is the best all-around, free-to-play, early accessible Sith leader, and he also, the cool thing is he also branches the Empire with him. He can be a non-Malak team, which is a huge highlight when you have Emperor Palpatine. And then you have characters like Darth Trey, which are a little bit more advanced. That's going to be a Sith team people get kind of a bit later. And then you have Darth Revan, of course, which is very endgame. It's just there's not much going on for him, and he's such a cool character in the Star Wars universe. I wish he had Enfys Nest Kit. I see this comment all the time. It's like, man, why can't Darth Maul be like Enfys Nest? That would be really cool if Darth Maul could have all-around viability like Enfys Nest and take out so many teams on his own. But the fact is, Darth Maul, cool character, but not needed for AAT raid, Sith raid, Rancor raid, not needed for any sort of legendary event. He's not an important team for Territory Wars, Grand Arena, or Arena. He is just a leftover team that people just throw in somewhere because they have nothing else to put down. Since we're in this Sith tab, another iconic character in the Star Wars universe that does not live up to its hype, Darth Sidious, the one that orchestrated the Clone Wars to help him ascend to ascend to Emperor of the Galactic Empire. He was kind of like Maul at one point, one of the best characters in the game. He was the meta because his leadership, which got a little upgrade a couple years ago, was one of the best leaderships in the game because of all the extra critical damage. He was meta for quite a long time, and fun fact, he was my first 7-star character in the game, and I was so excited to have this character 7 stars. But since ever since his viability has been chopped away, I mean, the last time we really saw Darth Sidious was when Darth Maul was meta and Qui-Gon Jinn was meta, because Darth Sidious has so many anti-Jedi stuff in his kit. He is a very good duelist, as we saw in the Clone Wars era, and it's unfortunate because there's not much going on for him. What do you need him for? None of the raids. Grand Arena Territory Wars, I mean, if you really need a leftover garbage Sith team that might be able to take out something easy, like maybe Phoenix, there's not much going on for Darth Sidious, and he's not arena meta or anything like that, and he's not needed for any sort of legendary or journey content. So I don't know if Darth Sidious will get a rework kind of like Darth Maul anytime soon, because you would think if they were going to rework him, it would be right now when Clone Wars content is hot and the Dark Side Clone Wars content is hot with the Geonosis Territory battle, because it would have been nice to have some character with anti-Jedi or anti-Galactic Republic synergies baked into his kit. So it's unfortunate that we do not have any really good use out of Darth Sidious, because you might be able to use him for like a Vader lead with Wampa, but that's like a maybe. There's not too much going on for Darth Sidious, and you should definitely focus on other characters rather than Sidious himself. But the next one on our list, sticking to the Clone Wars era here, Plo Koon. Now, I'm gearing him up right now. I'll tell you 2 reasons why. Reason number 1, I'm slowly trying to prepare for light side territory battles, and I think he might be important, because when you think of what light side Geonosis territory battles is going to be about, you're going to go up against droids, and they're probably going to have important Galactic Republic, Jedi, and clone synergies, and Plo Koon, I think he might get some love. And also, I'm trying to prepare for the Negotiator Capital ship. Once I unlock him in probably a month or 2, I want to make sure I have all my Galactic Republic ships ready to go so I can test things out. But overall, in terms of the character himself, I had to put this on the list because I know someone who recently started the game, and they're like, oh man, I can't wait to get my Plo Koon up and running. I love all of his clone synergies he's got going on. I'm going to run a Plo Koon clone team, and I was like, oh, my poor, sweet summer child. Now, of course, if you don't care about being #1 in the game or even top 1,000, I guess, go for Plo Koon, but overall, his kid is not good. He does not live up to the hype of him being a good clone leader like he was in the Clone Wars TV show, where he cared about each and every one of his troops, and they were not just someone to be expendable. He wanted to make sure every single one of his clone troopers made it alive, if possible. This one, I see this comment a lot lately because General Grievous has become a mad dog with his most recent reworks going on. Droids are becoming more important. We see droids do some funny things up against Darth Revan and Darth Malik sometimes with their nuke team, and then Grievous is a monster against Jedi Knight Revan. And I see this comment a lot. It's like, well, what if I put Eth Koth in my Jedi Knight Revan team? Because it says right here that he's a stunning Jedi support, extremely effective against droids. And that's a very misleading description. Extremely effective is a hyperbole. Effective is a hyperbole as well. It's way too eccentric. He is not good at droids. Even way back when, if we want to kind of date ourselves back, when droids were the meta, Pog the Lesser, IG-88, IG-86, and a couple other things in between, he was not helpful at all. But maybe with the Geonosis territory battles for light side probably happening in the next 3 or 4 months, I would guess. Again, think of what you're going to be facing. You're going to be facing, obviously, probably endless waves of droids, and obviously things like Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, General Grievous, and whatnot. And the problem is, Eth Koth, man, he would be perfect to get a rework, so we have a lot more anti-droid stuff in his kit that are actually usable, and maybe because of his history of General Grievous, maybe some stuff in there as well that kind of makes him a more anti-Grievous. But right now, horrible character, does not live up to anything he was kind of useful for in the Clone Wars era, and he's not going to be useful for the rise of the droids that we're starting to see right now. And lastly, finally kind of stepping away from our Clone Wars content. Of course, I could pick out a lot more Clone Wars content that needs to be addressed, but those are kind of the last iconic ones I think that need to be really fixed. I'm going to move up to some sequel content right here. First Order. Staple team in this game. It's a very good all-around team. Not the best in the game, not the worst in the game, but it's important for territory wars, Grand Arena, Sith Raid, and whatnot. And you need it for BB-8, which is important for Jedi Training Gray and a lot of other top-tier raid teams and whatnot. List goes on and on and on. Important staple team overall. But listen to me here. What's the best First Order team right now? Well, Kylo Ren Unmasked, Kylo Ren, First Order Stormtrooper, Executioner, as well as First Order Officer. That's the best First Order team. But if you want something a bit more accessible to farm quickly to get BB-8, it'd be Kylo Ren Unmasked, Kylo Ren, First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot, First Order Executioner, and First Order Officer. And First Order TIE Pilot's okay. It's a decent First Order character too. A lot of high damage, but it's a little bit harder to farm. So the only reason why I didn't mention that is because it's not as easily accessible as those other First Order characters. Who am I missing? Who have I not mentioned? Captain Phasma. Iconic character from the sequel era. I mean, this was kind of the character that got a lot of people hyped up when they originally saw some of the artwork for the new sequel that was coming out. Obviously, Captain Phasma as a character in the Star Wars universe probably didn't have the best arc that we were hoping for, but nonetheless, she was an important character for the First Order. And again, kind of like Maul and Darth Sidious, this is a legacy character that had such an important leadership. This was one of the coolest leaderships and one of the most overpowered leaderships at the time. Really not doing much. Really, the only thing I could really highlight about this character is that she's got some good turn meter gain. Good turn meter gain and advantage for First Order would be helpful, but when you consider what Kylo Ren already does for the team with his lash out ability, he's already going to be granting a lot of turn meter to the team over and over again. So most likely Phasma doesn't really offer as much that would be better than all these other First Order characters, except that she is just very easy to farm. Let me know down below. I would love to see a discussion on this, and maybe hopefully next year when we maybe review this list again, we'll see characters like Mace Windu and stuff from the previous list get improved, as well as some of the stuff in this video right here. Like the video if you did enjoy, comment down below on all of your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing, and I will see all you lovely people in the next video. Peace out, all.
Party Richter, Party Richter. Down, 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 down. Party Richter, Party Richter. Son of a bitch. Party Richter, Party Richter. Down, down, down.